Hello everyone! Today, we are going to be working in Python and repl.it in order to create a small and simple battle minigame where two independent fighters can fight. You can choose what you're going to do each turn, and through this project, we're hopefully going to be learning about classes, about how to use the radio input section on PyWeb.io, and do a little bit of a refresher on while loops while making the game. As you can see on the screen, I've taken the liberty of making a basic framework program. You can find it in the description of this video under a paste bin that will be marked there. I recommend that all of you either copy over this by hand or go into paste bin and copy paste it into your repl.it because we're going to be working off from here. Before we begin coding our battle program, let's quickly go over the comments that I've made so we can figure out what the framework of our program is going to look like. First and foremost, we are going to be creating a fighter class. If you don't know what a class is in Python, don't worry about it. We're going to be going over it more in depth later, so just hold on right now. The main part of the program is going to be in this website function that we define right at the beginning. For our battle, we are first going to be creating our two fighters. They're each going to have their own statistics like hit points and attack values that we are going to have to create for them and set equal to something. Then, the main part of our fight is going to be the while loop. This is a while loop that is going to continuously run, letting the hero and enemy both attack each other until either the hero or the enemy goes below 0 HP, meaning that they're knocked out. During this while loop, we're going to have to do a couple things, because each run of the while loop is going to be one turn. First, we're going to have to ask the user to pick an action for their turn. They can either attack, which means attacking the enemy, lowering their hit points, defend, which could give them temporary defense when their enemy tries to attack, or use a potion. They'll only have a couple of potions, so they have to use them wisely, but they'll allow them to regain HP. Then, once we figure out what the user is going to pick, we need to check to see what the user actually put in, what they want to do. First, if the user attacks, we will have to lower the enemy's HP. If the user defends, we'll have to give the user temporary defense so that when the enemy attacks, the hero takes less damage. And finally, if the user decides to use a potion, the user will increase their own HP and lose one potion. Finally, at the end of this while loop, the enemy is going to attack the hero, by which the hero is going to lose HP. Then, once the while loop ends, which happens, remember, only when either the hero or the enemy's HP drops below 0, we are going to check to see who won and let the winner know, with a congratulations or too bad, how the fight turned out. To start off our program, we are going to be creating a fighter class. Now, if you don't know what a class is, I will do a brief introduction. Classes show up in many different programming languages, so try to commit this to memory. In Python, and specifically in our program here, we're going to be using classes to store various variables, different statistics for our fighters in one easily accessible and easy to understand space. So, we are going to be creating our class as follows. First, we let Python know that we want to make a class by just typing in class. And then, we put in our unique name for our class. We will call ours fighter. Now, inside this fighter class, we can put as many variables as we think is necessary that we know that our fighters are going to need. First and foremost, let's give our fighter a name. Now, because this is just the general class, and we will be having both the hero who you play as and the enemy who you fight against both be fighters, we are not going to put anything into this name later. We're going to be setting it in our actual program. What else do we need our fighter to have? Naturally, we need to keep track of how much hit points they have left, or HP for short. In our program, if either the hero or the enemy drops below 0 HP, they are knocked out, and then the fight ends. Also for our fight, we're going to need to give both the hero and the enemy a couple more statistics. We will give them each an attack, which we will set to 0, a defense, which we will set to 0, and a number of healing potions, which we will also set to 0. Now that we've created our fighter class, we can use this in order to create two unique fighters, the hero and the enemy. Let's do that now. First, in order to create a hero with the class fighter, we just need to type in our variable name, hero, just like you might say number equals 0. If you wanted to create an integer, we can do hero equals fighter. And don't forget the open and close parentheses. Then, now that we have our hero created, we need to give them a name. In order to access this name variable inside the fighter class, all we need to do is press hero.name and set that equal to whatever name we want. We'll set this equal to hero, just simple, but feel free to put it in as whatever you'd like. Now that we know how to access these variables inside this, we can give hero all of its other statistics. Let me quickly do that now. Now, as you can see, we've created our hero and given him or her all of these statistics. Now that we have our hero created, we need to create our enemy that the hero is going to fight. We are going to be doing this by also using our fighter class, but just putting in different statistics. So, we will do that as follows. Just like with the hero, we can type in enemy.name and give the enemy whatever name we want. This is a string, so it can actually be anything. We can have it be Bowser or anything that you'd like. Feel free to put in whatever suits your fancy, but for simplicity's sake, we're going to be doing enemy. And just like with the hero, we're going to be putting in the rest of the statistics for our enemy. This is going to be the one that the hero, the one that the user controls, will attack. So, as you can see, we've made some small differences between our fighter as a hero and our enemy. As you can see, we've given our hero 2 health potions that they can use throughout battle, while the enemy has none. Also, since the hero has some fancy suit of armor on, they have quite a bit of defense. Meanwhile, the enemy has none. But with this in mind, the enemy is a lot larger than the hero, and so has much more health and attack. Now that we've created our 2 fighters, our hero that the user will control, and the enemy who will be controlled by our AI, we are going to be doing a couple quick changes to our program to make it more organized and more easy to read. First of all, we don't need this print statement anymore. This is where we're actually going to write the rest of our code, so we can go ahead and delete that. Next, we can move this comment to create both fighters up here, because that's what we do right after. We created our 2 fighters, 1 hero and 1 enemy. Now, by following our comments, we are going to be creating our main while loop. If anyone has used a while loop, then this should look very familiar to you. All you need to do to create a while loop is type in while and then put in your condition. So, for this, we want the fight to continue going on while both the enemy and the hero have HP left, because when one of them drops below 0 HP, they're knocked out and the battle ends. With this in mind, we are going to be translating this comment above into our condition. We're going to have this while loop run while the hero.hp is greater than 0 and while the enemy.hp is greater than 0. Now that we have this, we can ask the user to tell us what action they want for each of their turns. In order to do this, we're going to be using a new thing in a new function in PyWeb.io called radio. If you remember input from our previous class, input allows you to allows the user to type in a response, and then we can get the answer back they can answer the response, and then we can get an answer back in our program. We're going to be doing something slightly different with the radio function. With the radio function, we can ask the user to pick between a select number of options, which is perfect for us because we want the user to only choose between an attack, a defend, or using a potion. So first, we just need to type in what we want them, or what we want them to see, and tell them to select an answer. And then, as our second parameter after the comma, we can do options equals, and then create an open and closing bracket, and then type in with quotes every single different option that we want available to them. They will be attack, defend, and use potion. Oops, I forgot to put this one in quotes. Easy fix. In addition, because we want the user to always choose one of these options before the game continues, we are going to be putting in required equals true. Let's go see what this looks like. As you can see, it says select an action, and then it gives us 3 choices: to attack, defend, or use a potion. If we try to press submit, it tells us to select one of the 3 options. That was because we added the required field at the bottom. Now, we can have the user select one of these, and it will continue to run. However, because we haven't finished coding it, we have no way we never alter the HP of either the hero nor the enemy, so it will just keep asking us to do one of these options for eternity. So let's see if we can't get on that.